Welcome back to the Good Watch channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is starting to break below a crucial level of support that we need to pay attention to, and we're now starting to see an official bear market signal flash on the weekly Bitcoin price chart for the first time since the beginning of the previous massive bear market, which is also something we need to pay attention to. And in just a moment, I'll be talking about other bearish factors that are currently influencing the latest dump, like, for example, BlackRock dumping Bitcoin and the US stock market also currently dumping in the short term, which is not good news for the crypto market, while we're seeing Ethereum now retest a crucial level on the price chart, while the price of Solana is also now breaking below a very important level on the price chart. So I'll be talking about all of that and so much more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, we need to talk about what is helping to influence the latest dump in the price of Bitcoin and crypto. And the first major thing that we need to pay attention to is, of course, the US stock market. This right here is the S&P 500 index on the 1 hour time frame, and we could see that over the last 1 to 2 days, and right now, as of recording this video in the pre-market, we're seeing a major dump in the US stock market, at least in the short term, similar to a couple of weeks ago. And of course, a couple of weeks ago, we were also seeing a dump in the crypto market alongside the dump in the stock market. And then roughly a week ago, give or take, we did see a bit of a short-term relief in both the stock market and the crypto market. So we have to understand that crypto is highly correlated to stocks. Obviously, it's not a perfect one-to-one correlation, but most of the time, if the stock market's dumping like it is right now, usually crypto is not going to be performing very well. And so keep this in mind. While the stock market is continuing to look weak in the short term, this is obviously causing a lot of weakness and bearishness for the crypto market. So keep that in mind. And on top of that, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flows, we could see so far this week, it has not really been a great week, especially in the previous trading day here, because we could see that first of all, on Monday, we saw a net inflow of around 1.2 million. So pretty much nothing in terms of the ETFs, a net inflow on Tuesday of around $500 million, 500 million, a net outflow on Wednesday of around 278 million US dollars, and then just on Thursday we saw a net outflow of over 866 million US dollars coming out of the Bitcoin ETFs, basically being dumped on the market. Because in case you're new to all of this, how this actually works is essentially investors can pull their money out of the ETFs by selling the ETF shares, for example. That's what these outflows are. It's investors pulling their money out of the ETFs, and then the ETF providers like BlackRock, Fidelity, etc., essentially having to dump the actual Bitcoin that's backing the ETFs in order to effectively pay out those outflows. And so that basically means that just yesterday, BlackRock actually dumped around $250 million worth of Bitcoin on the market. Fidelity dumped over $100 million worth of Bitcoin. Grayscale, the Grayscale BTC ETF, dumped over $300 million worth of Bitcoin. So hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin are being dumped right now by BlackRock, Fidelity, Grayscale, etc. And so obviously this is just another factor on top of all of the other factors pointing towards more bearish price action, obviously adding a lot of sell pressure right now for the price of Bitcoin, alongside the fact that the stock market is dumping, which is also not good for Bitcoin and crypto. So with all of that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today here on the weekly time frame, we're now starting to see the first signal flash for a possible bearish crossover or a bearish flip in this super trend indicator on the weekly Bitcoin price chart. So yes, we are now seeing the bearish signal flash for the first time in years. Actually, the last time that this actually confirmed in the red for the super trend indicator on the weekly Bitcoin price chart was back at the beginning of the 2022 bear market. And keep in mind, from the moment this confirmed red last time, we were basically bearish or in a bear market for pretty much exactly 1 year. So almost exactly 1 year following that signal, we were in a bearish market where overall we were seeing mostly bearish price action, the occasional short-term bullish relief, but mostly bearish price action for about a year before then starting the next major bull market. And now obviously, just because this happened last time, it does not guarantee we're going to see exactly the same thing again this time around. So keep that in mind. But with that being said, this is a signal to watch out for. At the moment, at the time of recording this video, it's is just currently flashing, not yet confirmed, because in order to actually confirm this in place on the price chart, we need to see this weekly candle close confirm below this level right here in the super trend indicator, which is sitting at approximately 96,000. So if at the end of the week on Sunday night, midnight UTC, if the end of the week where the price of Bitcoin is below around 96,000, confirming the weekly candle close below that level, then that would officially confirm this bearish crossover in the super trend indicator for the first time in many years. But we did have one previous time during this bull market where we temporarily dipped to the downside, which at that time flashed that bearish signal that we're seeing right now, but it never actually confirmed because we never confirmed a weekly candle close below that line in the super trend indicator. It was only just a quick candle wick to the downside and then back up. So we stayed within the larger bull market. And so this next weekly candle close will definitely be something very important to pay attention to in a little over 2 days from now, just under 2.5 days from now at this next weekly candle close. Once again, very important. But with that being said, of course, as I've already been saying for weeks now, for around a month now on the channel, we already have an active bearish divergence playing out on the weekly time frame. This has been a massive warning signal I've been pushing every single day for about a month now on the channel, telling everyone expect a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum, most likely going to see a pullback over the next few weeks or months. That sort of time frame, weeks and months, expect either a larger pullback or at best a sideways consolidation. Don't expect significant bullish momentum. Don't expect any strength for most likely a period of months. And once again, I've been saying that every day for the last 1 month. You can check any one of my videos over the last 1 month, and it's what I'm saying right now. Continue to expect a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum, most likely a further pullback, potentially over the next 1 month or so. And of course, if we confirm this bear market signal on this super trend indicator on the weekly time frame, it's possible that it might not just be 1 or 2 months. It could potentially be half a year to a year. So keep that in mind. That is a possibility we need to consider. But overall, if we're talking about the super long term, like 5 to 10 years from now, I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin, of course, after we first complete some more of a bearish phase in the market. But right now, if we're talking about the next few weeks or months, don't expect a massive recovery into new all-time highs. And once again, that's exactly what I've been saying every day for the last 1 month already. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, right now the price of Bitcoin is finally starting to break below and breaking well below this important area of support here, which was holding as support for quite some time and obviously has now been broken. And that was sitting in between around 99,000 to 100,000. So obviously that is no longer acting as support. We've now broken that level. So we're now on our way towards the next level of support. And where will that be? Well, if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, I'll be targeting this area, which as I record in the video, we're getting very close to running into, which is the golden pocket area of support at roughly the 61.8% Fibonacci level to the 65% Fibonacci level on the daily Bitcoin price chart from swing low to swing high. And that's sitting in between roughly 92,000 to 94,000. So that is the next major area of support to watch out for. It's possible we could see maybe a slight little bounce or a bit of a break from around that area, a bit of a break from the bearish price action. But remember, just because we hit support, that does not mean we're at the bottom. Maybe we see a slight little relief before maybe continuing the bearish trend later on, kind of like the previous support at roughly 100,000. We ran into that support right here, give or take a week ago, a bit over a week ago, bounced from that support for close to a week, around half a week, give or take, and then ultimately broke below that level. So this is the next support to watch out for. It's possible we could see some slight little bounce here or a slight little relief, but overall, we're still in this larger bearish trend. Once again, as I've been saying for a long time now on the channel, expect a lot of weakness over the coming weeks or months is a very likely scenario, most likely continuing this larger pullback with the occasional shorter term bullish relief. Because of course, if we're looking at the smaller time frames, like this 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, the smaller time frames are only looking at smaller moves, short-term moves in the price of Bitcoin, which flip between bullish and bearish pretty much every few days. And so I still occasionally get some comments here on the channel with people not understanding the difference between the different time frames, because for example, in one video I talk about a shorter term bullish divergence on the 6-hour time frame while still playing out the larger bearish divergence on the weekly time frame. But of course, the short-term bullish divergence is only a short-term signal. It won't last very long, maybe just a few days or so before it starts to lose relevance. And so if you want me to say basically the same thing every day, pay attention to what I'm saying on the larger time frames. I've been saying the same thing every day for a month now. Expect most likely likely a pullback, a lot of weakness for the price over the larger time frames, over the longer term period of time. But in the short term, of course, this changes pretty much every couple of days, from bullish to bearish, maybe another slight little bounce from this support in the short term. Obviously, this is always flipping between bullish and bearish pretty much every couple of days. And especially right now, we're just hitting oversold in the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI, which means potentially as we get closer towards this support, along with this oversold signal, and ideally if we also see some little bounce in the US stock market, which is just opening up as I've recorded the video, then maybe we see a slight little bounce in the short term, just a bit of a break in the immediate short term from the bearish trend. But remember, like I said last time, that will just be a shorter term break during the larger bearish trends that we're still currently in, which means this is most likely not the bottom. We could go lower later on, but maybe see an immediate little relief in the just immediate short term. But once again, I want to make this clear, even if we do see some sort of slight little bounce, whether we see that or not, don't expect a lot of strength. Don't expect a lot of significant bullish momentum all the way back up like this, because once again, as I've been saying for a long time, that's very unlikely right now in the market. We're simply looking extremely weak, lacking bullish momentum. So overall, that is the situation. But of course, you can still profit from this situation using things like short positions, for example, or if we form a bit of a price range in the shorter term, we can use a grid bot trading strategy, for example, to profit during that range. And let's just say if the price of Bitcoin actually breaks below this area of support in between 92 to 94,000, if we confirm a break below that support in that situation, next I'll be targeting around 85 to 86,000 as the next major level of support towards the downside. But once again, the immediate support to watch out for is at roughly 92 to 94,000. And as for resistance, I'll now expect a lot of resistance at give or take 100,000, and of course a lot of resistance at around 106 to 107,000, which is pretty much where we perfectly rejected from a few days ago. But if you want to take advantage of this price action, even if it's bearish, using things like short positions, for example, or a grid bot trading strategy, if we're more range bound, for example, you can do that on Pinex, which is an exchange that I've been trading on recently. And currently you can take advantage of a massive deposit bonus campaign over on Pinex. Yes, that's right. If you deposit just 100 USD, you get a 200 USD bonus on your account. Massive bonuses here. If you deposit just 1,000, you get a $600 bonus on your account. And then if you're depositing these super large amounts, you can get up to 40,000 USD in your Pinex account. Basically free money from the exchange, which you can actually use to have these Bitcoin grid bots over here. You can copy these trading strategies if you want to, using the first link below the video. So once again, the first link below the video will take you to this page where you can take advantage of major deposit bonuses from small amounts all the way up to massive amounts. And you can copy these trading strategies if you want to. As always, not financial advice. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or if you're preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well get set up ready to go using that first link below the video to take advantage of these major bonuses here. But for whatever reason, if you want a no KYC exchange, an exchange that I also trade on myself, there's also 2bit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below the video. And that second link below the video will take you to this page right here, where you can also take advantage of some major bonuses. For example, up to 10,000 USDT in trial fund bonuses and 8,000 USDT in actual withdrawable stablecoins, just by depositing and trading crypto using the link below the video to 2bit. And on top of that, without making any deposits or any trades, just by making an account, takes 30 seconds to do this. You can claim a free $30 trial fund bonus, $30 in bonuses here, and also 1 month free VIP3 upgrades. So basically very cheap trading fees on 2bit and essentially free money from the exchange to get you started just by simply making an account using that link. But unfortunately, if you don't use the link below the video, you can't claim any of these bonuses here. So you might as well get set up ready to go using that link to take advantage of these bonuses. You might as well do that if you're going to be trading crypto anyway. And once again, 2bit is indeed a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, looking at the last 2 weeks worth of price action, and we could see that just in the shorter term over the last few days, we have been wiping out some major liquidity that was building to the downside. First of all, of course, in my last video, I talked about that area of liquidity, the new area that was building at roughly 98, 99,000, give or take, just below this point of support right here. Obviously, just below this point of support right here, we had some major liquidity, which I talked about in my last video. So that's now been wiped out. And in the shorter term, over the last 1 day, we actually formed a little bit of new liquidity at around 97.8K, which has also now been wiped out. So we kind of saw a bit of a long liquidation event, liquidating some long positions, obviously, which can help cause cause more sell pressure in the short term. So this is multiple factors adding on top of each other. The stock market obviously having a dump, which in the immediate short term, as of recording the video, is having a very, very slight little bounce, but overall has been dumping over the last 1 to 2 days, with obviously the major outflows from Bitcoin, from the Bitcoin ETFs. All of this is helping to cause this shorter term dump. So overall, of course, if we're running into this support and with this oversold signal, and especially if the stock market continues this slight little bounce, maybe filling up this gap, it is possible that sometime in the next 1 or 2 days, we could just see maybe a slight little bounce like this, but don't expect a lot of strength. Remember, like I said, on the weekly time frame, and I've been saying this every day for a month now, expect a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum for most likely the next couple of months. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, we're now starting to see a little bit more of a correction continue in the Bitcoin dominance, but so far we don't really have significant bearish momentum in the Bitcoin dominance. So what is a likely scenario is maybe we see a slight little drift down like this, but not necessarily a massive crash, and really I don't expect a massive pump like this unless of course we see a massive liquidation event like what we saw around the 10th of October. That can see a temporary spike in the Bitcoin dominance like what we saw on that date. But overall, I do expect the price to basically remain relatively neutral with an ever so slight bearish bias. So maybe some very slight bearish price action in the Bitcoin dominance, which means a lot of altcoins can have some slight outperformance versus Bitcoin. But of course, if Bitcoin's dumping, it means that altcoins versus the US dollar are also likely going to be dumping in the short term. So keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH is retesting a crucial Fibonacci level of support, the second most important Fibonacci level behind the golden pocket, and this level is sitting at around 3050. So really in between around 3,000 to 3.1k. As I've been saying for a while, expect a lot of support around there, which is where we perfectly bounced from last time and that previous flash crash in the price in the short term. And right now, at least so far as of recording the video, we're still finding support at that level. So continue to expect a lot of support in between roughly 3,000 to 3.1k. But if the price of ETH confirms a break below 3,000, and especially if we fail to get back above that level, in that situation, it's quite likely we'll drop down towards roughly 2.7k as the next major point of support. And as for resistance to watch out for, if we continue a bit more of a bounce here, expect a lot of resistance at this level, still sitting at around 3650 to 3660. So really in between around 3.6k to 3.7k, continue to expect a lot of resistance around there. And if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum price chart, looking at this Ethereum price chart here, clearly we're still within the bearish trend. But of course, around a week ago, we did see this oversold signal flash in the daily Ethereum RSI, which did result in just a short-term relief during the bearish trend, which is pretty much exactly what I said back then. Expect just a shorter-term relief, but like what we saw last time, an oversold signal by itself does not guarantee that we've hit the bottom. It's possible we can go lower later on. So that's potentially what is happening right now, simply the continuation of the same trend that we've already been in for months, which is indeed a bearish trend with the occasional short-term bullish relief. But it is worth pointing out that we are potentially forming a new bullish divergence. I want to make this clear, not confirmed, but we are potentially forming a new bullish divergence on the daily Ethereum price chart, with lower lows starting to form in the candle closes on the daily time frame in the price, and higher lows still currently forming in the daily Ethereum RSI. So once again, that is a possible bullish divergence forming right now, but not currently confirmed. So something to just pay attention to in case it confirms maybe in the coming days, especially if we see just a slight little bounce, let's just say in the Bitcoin price, which can help with a slight little bounce in the Ethereum price. But overall, in terms of the larger trend, still expect a lot of weakness in the coming weeks or months, with the occasional short-term bullish relief here and there. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, it's a very similar situation for Solana, where potentially breaking below this area of support, but not yet confirmed. Obviously, we've not yet confirmed a candle close below around 143, which is the lower side of this area of support, in between 143 to around 147. And just recently, close to a week ago, this was acting as major support here. We did see a pretty much perfect bounce from that level. But of course, if we confirm a candle close below around 143 on the daily or 2-day chart, for example, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, of course, that would confirm the breakdown and would likely see a drop towards this next level of support, sitting at around 125 to 127. 126 approximately based on this Fibonacci level and also based on this previous low at roughly 126. And once again, even if we continue to hold this support and we see the candle close back above the area or within the area, and let's just say if we continue to hold this area as support, even in that situation, the best we might see is just a shorter term bounce again, or a little bit of a relief, maybe a sideways consolidation. But like I've been saying for a long time, don't expect significant strength in the market, because right now the larger price structure is still currently bearish. So any bullish price action that we see is really only short term price action. And a lot of people really don't like to hear when I say that sort of stuff, as I've been saying over the last 1 month or so. But of course, I just say how it is here on the channel. If it's going to be bearish or if things are looking bearish, I will let you know about it here on the channel, as I did warn about around a month ago about the significant bearish divergence on the weekly Bitcoin price chart. So obviously you can still make profit during bearish price action using something like a short position, for example, to profit along the way towards the downside. So just because we're seeing bearish price action, even if we enter a larger correction, or let's just say a bear market, anything like that, you can still make profit in crypto with short positions, or just getting ready to buy at lower prices, maybe in a month, for example, or a few months, whatever your strategy might be. You can still have ways to make profit pretty much no matter what the price does. And in fact, it's during these periods in the market where a lot of people like to leave crypto, which means there's less competition for you to make money. It means there's more opportunities and easier opportunities to make money, especially when the market begins the next reversal, starts turning around eventually, which at some stage will extremely likely happen, but not necessarily right now. And so this is definitely an important time in the market to continue to pay attention to crypto when a lot of other people are getting bored or frustrated and quitting crypto. So keep that in mind. It's usually in the worst periods in the market that have the best opportunities. That's definitely very valuable advice that's treated me well over many years in crypto. And if we're taking a look at XRP on the weekly time frame, right now XRP is still playing out the massive bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, as we've already been doing for months now. So not much has changed over the last 1 day on this chart. Still expect a lot of weakness and most likely a larger pullback over a period of months. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, obviously over the last 1 to 2 weeks, just in the shorter term, we have been playing out that shorter term bullish divergence with, once again, just a short term bullish relief. But as I always say, this does not necessarily result in a massive trend reversal. Overall, the trend is still clearly bearish. We're still forming larger bearish price structure on the daily XRP price chart, but just in the shorter term, over the last 1 to 2 weeks, we have been seeing that short term bullish relief. And as of recording this video, the price of XRP is potentially starting to break below this important area of support, still sitting in between around $2.30 to $2.40. But as of recording the video, we've not yet actually confirmed the break below the area, so we still need to wait for a daily candle close. But if we confirm the breakdown, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, it's quite likely we'd at least see a retest of these lows based on the daily candle closes is sitting at around $2.20, but quite possibly retesting down towards the actual candle wick low right here, and based on this Fibonacci level, sitting at around $2.05 to $2.06 as the next major level of support to watch out for. And also keep in mind that we're still currently forming higher lows in the daily XRP RSI, which means, let's just say if we form a slight lower low in the price in the candle closes, it's possible we could just reconfirm a new bullish divergence, essentially extending the previous bullish divergence to maybe play it out later on. So that's a possibility we need to watch out for in the coming days or over the next 1 week or so. But overall, once again, if we see a bit of a shorter term bullish relief, as I've already been saying, expect that to just be a short term bullish move, not a lot of strength. Overall, expect a lot of weakness if we're talking about the next multiple weeks or months. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a very similar situation for Chainlink as what I just said for XRP. Overall, still in a larger bearish trend, forming larger bearish price structure like lower highs, lower lows, for example. But in the shorter term, over the last 1 to 2 weeks, we have been playing out this shorter term bullish divergence in the form of just a short term bullish relief during the bearish trend, kind of like what we saw just here, or just here, for example. But keep in mind that right now, similar to how XRP could potentially form this, and also similar to how Ethereum is possibly forming this, we are possibly forming a new bullish divergence, or essentially extending the previous bullish divergence for the price of Chainlink on this daily time frame, if we actually confirm this lower low in the price in the candle closes, and of course if we reconfirm the higher low in the daily Chainlink RSI. So I want to make this clear that potential new bullish divergence with the next low in the price in the RSI is not confirmed, not currently in play, but just possibly forming. So something to watch out for in the coming days in case it might might confirm, but currently nothing to act on. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, of course, over the last one day, we broke back below this area, which will now likely be acting as new resistance again, and that's sitting at around 1520 to 1570. So expect resistance in that area and expect a lot more resistance at around $16.60, which is pretty much exactly where we rejected from at the latest local high just here. And as for support to watch out for, expect a lot of support really in between around $13.30 to $13.80 based on this Fibonacci level and based on this previous low. So that area right there will likely find a decent amount of support, at least in the short term. And once again, as I always say, expect very similar price action for a lot of these altcoins like Chainlink and other altcoins I've been saying throughout the video. Expect very similar price action for these altcoins as to what Bitcoin is doing. So for example, if Bitcoin might just play out a slight little bounce in the immediate short term from this support and this oversold signal, which could be a likely scenario just in the immediate short term, but then perhaps still plays out a lot of weakness over the next multiple weeks or months, expect something very similar to that scenario right there for a lot of these major altcoins. As always, no guarantees and financial advice, but at least in my opinion and based on all of this analysis, that is a very likely scenario. And once again, if you want to take advantage of these opportunities in the crypto market, even if the prices are dumping, you can use shorts positions to profit along the way towards the downside, or just be patient and wait for some lower prices to buy in at some cheaper prices. But if you want to take advantage of those sort of moves, of course, get set up ready to go using the links below the video to these exchanges to take advantage of the major bonuses that are only available using those links. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. Once again, links below the video to those exchanges. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or shorts positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.